Hi everyone, Sabia here from Asmara Bellydance Initiative, and this is Communi-Tea Thursday. This week, I am super excited that we are going to be talking to Ciana Ariel. She is somebody that I know from my own dance journey, but I want to kind of give you guys an introduction to her. She's a very accomplished dancer. So Ciana, from what I know about you, I know that you span across a lot of like physical activity. So not just belly dance, but also fitness. I've seen that you've taught Zumba in the past. You're a professional belly dancer and you do a lot of beautiful performances. And you also have a website where you provide like fitness classes to people. Is that correct?
Well, I teach locally here in Palm Beach, Florida, where I live. And this year with, 2020 being, the year that it has been, I have started to offer online classes as well. So right now I'm streaming those through Zoom, which is, the easiest way to do it, and it's been working pretty well. But yeah, I've been teaching since I was 16. My mom is an instructor as well, so my mom, that was kind of my social life as a homeschooled kid. So I would go to the gym with my mom when I was, like 11, 12 in middle school, and then when I was 16 I started teaching, and one of my students actually who was taking my dance fitness class is the one who introduced me to belly dancing. And she's like, there's dancers at a restaurant and you should come try out. Um, and I did. And I think that same week or maybe the next week, they got me a costume and threw me into a restaurant. And that's how I started. That was my introduction. I had never seen a belly dancer in a restaurant or anything before that, which was, yeah.
How was that, I guess? Like a lot of us went on a journey of like seeking out belly dance. And you kind of had to just put in your lap. So like I guess coming from that perspective into the dance, how was that experience as a teenager?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was fun for me. I mean, it was a great, opportunity. I was 19, and yeah, I mean, it was an awesome job. I was teaching aerobics, and I think I was working at a chiropractor's office, and then I started, being able to make money, like, dancing on tables at a Greek restaurant, and dancing to the techno version of Intersectionality, which I didn't really know until later on. But it was just fun for me. Like, for me, it was like a cool job. And I know that's, um, yeah, not the conventional way that a lot of people started, but it worked out for me. And I went and did my research after the fact, but I had, for me, it started as just a really fun job. And yeah, that was it. I started taking some workshops locally, and Bojanka was doing some workshops in Miami because I was close to Miami area. So I would go and take workshops on the weekends with, yeah, some of the local dancers. And then maybe a year and a half or 2 years in, I met Yvonne, and she introduced me to the Salampur program. And that was when my journey into understanding the music and history and technique really started to unfold. As you know, I think that's how we met.
That is how I
Hmm.
mean, that's really cool that, and I love the Salampur format that you were able to like get into it and then like jump in and have that huge resource. So as you've gotten into the dance more and learned what you like about it historically with the music, with just the culture and the fun, what style of belly dance do you feel like you came out doing?
Yeah, so with the Salampur format being, technique, you should be able to be versed in many styles, right? Um, that's kind of the idea, is to understand the different cultures, the different music, and to have a solid enough foundation in your technique that you can do different stylizations. For me personally, when I'm just what I would probably say I consider my style personally would be closer to American cabaret or a modern version of American cabaret. Just because, Jamila format, first of all, it really has had a big influence on my style. And I just connect mostly with that, being an American born dancer who, you know, has kind of put together a hodgepodge of the different cultures, Sharqi and Turkish and Lebanese style. I studied with Hind Haymore a while here in Florida as well, who's a Canadian Lebanese dancer. So I think like a lot of American dancers, it's ended up being a blend of stylizations influenced from different regions. So that's probably a confusing answer, but
No, it makes sense. I appreciate how thorough you were about it, because it's not, a lot of us kind of have our elevator speech, but it's not a simple answer. So I appreciate you kind of sharing more in depth about yours. So what inspires you and feeds you as a dancer with all of this knowledge that you have to pull from?
definitely the music. I would say the music is what motivates me. Like that's what I just, I really find connection to the music and like just the drama of, Middle Eastern music, and really feeling alive with the different like range of emotions that you get within the expression of the music, like from the classics all the way to the more modern Shabi and Maharganat, which is stems a lot with like hip hop music. So even, I just, like I said, I think the music is what kind of inspires and drives me as far as like stylistic expression, and the fact that there's such a huge range and availability is what makes it just like a lifelong practice, because you can spend forever studying the classics and these sweeping compositions about like love and loss and pride in one's culture, and it's very in depth. And then you have really fun, lighthearted, pop music that is, and it just, yeah, I think it's just celebrates being alive and being a woman, or being, had the human experience. I don't know. I'm a drama queen, so I really just, I love that. I love that aspect of the music and the culture. It's different from Western, which we kind of, you know, are not as expressive in our feelings and emotions and sentiments. It's kind of just like, F everybody's feelings type of thing. And with with Middle Eastern music and culture, it's very much like, love and loss is how you know that you're alive. It's when you feel like, the pain of life. And I don't know, that just really resonates with me. And yes, that's what motivates me to keep coming back, keep studying, keep learning, and, yeah.
That's great. I can definitely relate to the music, like how you feel about the music. I just feel like there's a different level of human experience in the music. Like it is different than Western music. And I don't know, like I think that's what like drives me as a dancer, is I like the human connection as a belly dancer. So I really, really
Mhm.
enjoy the music, because that's where it lives. Like there's so much you can do with it. So I can definitely see how that would keep you going. So with what inspires you And I know you've been dancing for, well, I guess over a decade now, right?
Yes, about 12 years.
So what fun projects are you working on right now? Like what keeps you going, keeps you interested in the dance?
Yeah, well, I think like with a lot of us, this year has, um, we've had a lot of roadblocks, but they've turned into very, very different opportunities. Like I said before, just learning and figuring out how to um, get into the Zoom, not just for teaching, but for performances. Um, I will be a part of a couple controversial workshops that I am that has really inspired me to become more vocal. And I'm not really sure what that's going to look like, but I'm excited because I think that there are a lot of possibilities of different kinds of expression, like a bigger reach outside of my local community. Because you can, I think before this year, being that I was working pretty much since, the beginning of my dance journey professionally, you lose you can get just caught on the loop, and I would go and study and do my workshops, but just being more a part of the community, getting to know the community globally as instead of just, you know, um, locally, like other than classes and some virtual shows in my area are opening back up, but I'm excited to see now that the dust is kind of settling what this new online virtual community is going to kind of look like. So I guess it's to be determined, but I'm having fun with my virtual classes. I have some private clients that I've been able to keep in touch with, which has been, really nice. I'm offering that, and it's allowed me to, you know, keep my business going in a totally new facet and not have to have a boss because I like working for myself, and I'm fortunate that, even with this challenging year, I've been able to turn it turn it around and reconnect still with what I do, which is teaching. Like I teach, teaching and dancing. That's literally what I do, and it's just been amazing that I've been able to keep this going, for myself in this whole new way that I think I've been saying I was going to do for a while, but probably wouldn't have taken the time unless I was forced into it by losing pretty much all my work at the beginning of the year, which I'm sure a lot of people were in that same boat. But it's turned out to be good.
It makes sense. Like having to take everything virtual has definitely had its disadvantages and advantages, but especially if this is like a business for you versus, for
Mhm.
some of us it's a hobby or it's a hobby-ish. It is a different perspective to take, and it's a different experience. And I'm really happy to hear that like you've been able to like thrive with the changes, because it's kind of like it's not a new community, but it's a new dance community in a way.
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
connecting differently, we're finding each other differently, we're dancing and learning differently, like teaching online, not as an option but as a necessity, is just a different thing. So
Yeah, and I think at the beginning it was just like a cluster FUCK, I don't want to curse on your thing, but it was like, a big hodgepodge of like everybody kind of doing everything, all the things, and it was just like intense in the beginning. And now I think it's starting to kind of people are finding clarity, but it's a work in progress. Like, it's just I think there's a little more of an order and clarity that's starting to come out because the people that, you know, are doing it as a business or a profession are really having to stay the course and like, you know, build it in a different way. And it's becoming the new norm. At the beginning, I think it was just like we were just like, oh, let's all do this until, but we really don't know when or if things are ever going to go back to the way they were, and nor should I really think, they should. I mean, this has really been overdue. I mean, we have access to this to be able to connect with dancers all over the world. And I really think that's kind of cool and special. And it's really inspired and motivated me, like even being able to connect with you, again through this in ways that really we weren't taking full advantage of, like having, and it is, I mean, I still think it's cool to be able to get on Zoom and see people's faces and connect with them and not just be stuck in our bubbles. So like I'm here for it. I think it's brought the best and the worst out in all of us. And that's it. I don't know. See how it goes, moving forward.
I agree. I mean, it's taught us all a lot about ourselves and other people, and just how the way that, like the way we, I don't know how to put it, like just it's interesting to see like where people's priorities fall. And it's really cool to see people who didn't have the ability to travel and do all of these things, like have the ability to
Yeah,
connect with instructors, like people they would have never been able to afford, or even for like you and I just would count on, which I've kind of taken a break from dance and come back, but I'd count on like seeing you or other Salampur dancers when I went. I could
totally.
just reach out.
Right? Why
And
don't we
it should
do
have taken a pandemic to have that reality or realization, but yeah, like we have the ability to connect. There is this thing called technology. It's accessible, so maybe even if things do go back to the way they were, we can hold on to this, because I think it has been beneficial in some ways. And
That's
I think,
definitely
like you
been,
said, the other stuff will fall away that's not working.
yeah. Yeah, that's definitely been my experience. Like even when the gyms like have started to open back up and my schedule got like super full and I was still keeping my online stuff going, and then I started feeling super sad. Like, oh, I'm like super stressed again. And I was starting to feel how I did pre-pandemic almost. It was just like overworked and kind of stressed out. And it really made me realize that like, oh, I have another options. I've started to carve away at my live classes, like what I'm doing here. And so that I can put more focus back into the virtual projects and opportunities, which has been interesting because you know what I mean? I think everyone's like, oh, finally we get back. But it was kind of like when I started going back, I mean, we're here in Florida, so I've been back in studio since like May or June. And it was just like, it was an interesting feeling. Like, I was like, oh, I really, this was good. Like, this has been something that I want to keep going. It wasn't just like, I mean, I love my in-person clients and all that good stuff, but I think there's like a lot of value in what we've been forced to face. And, like why not keep that going? Like, it's a huge opportunity, and it's just different. It's been different, and we always oppose change usually as humans because we're crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I think from what you're saying, it almost like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's kind of decluttered the dance. Like I feel like a lot comes with, which there's a lot of benefits, but a lot comes with like coming to class on a weeknight and trying to like settle and connect. And amongst other things, dance has become a more mindful practice for a lot of people, having to do it at home. You're in a different headspace. Even if you're doing the same activities, it's different to be prepared for, be in a show virtually, or meet with your instructor, or be the instructor and teach a private lesson student or have a class. It's just a different experience.
It is, and I think they both have their place and value. Like I said, I would admit, like I missed having the time to put into my virtual projects, and I had this new desire to like creatively hold some space for that. Um, and that's been like a huge change. I mean, that's huge for me. you know. At least I don't know how everybody feels about it. I know everybody has their own, thing going on, but for me, it's been, I feel grateful in a way that been pushed out of our comfort zones, hopefully, we're really fortunate to be healthy. I mean, it's, uh, finding a silver lining in a really, really sad, unfortunate situation. Like you said, it really shouldn't have taken a pandemic to face a lot of these things, but thankfully, surviving it, whatever doesn't kill us, it makes us stronger, hopefully, and can teach us a lesson. And it's been intense, and I think it'll keep being intense because um, we're all due for a big wake up call, and hopefully we survive it and can move forward and make something positive happen out of it.
So, how does the intersectionality of who you are impact your dance experience? Just thinking about the things that make us up on and off stage.
Yeah, well, I think we've talked a lot about being Black dancers, Black American in particular, not, persons of color or minorities or immigrants or any of the other terms, but actually being Black dancers. That's not just a section of my life or experience. It definitely impacts my dance, but to me, I don't really disconnect how that, being a Black woman, I just move through space and life and work. I mean, being Black in the United States, it affects all of the aspects. Like, yes, the dance, but maybe I'm a little jaded. I mean, I'm quite aware of it, but I think, you get to a point where, at least for me, I try to really focus my energy um, into not just surviving, like I want to also thrive. And so I teeter between, like, of course I have moments that I'm affected by racism and then, colorism and aspects of my own privilege of having lighter skin, that has really impacted the fact that I've never had issues getting work, even though I've dealt with, discrimination and racism. But that's just a part, like that's the part. Like I don't think of it as a section of my life. Like that's life, so it's not like, how does it impact, it's just that like is our existence. Like there are examples of, you know, having going through the journey of growing our natural hair after getting relaxers since we're kids, and not in that part of the look and the aesthetic of belly dance, and also trying to accept, our natural hair. Like that's a journey. That's, and also constantly being the only Black person in the room, going to workshops, going to shows, working in restaurants, you know, um, living in South Florida, having a lot of, quote unquote persons of color and Latin community where you still feel completely alone and unsupported because there's so much anti-Blackness and racism in the uh, communities of white communities and persons of color who are, not Black Americans, since it's a very unique experience that we as Americans, right? Like we're not from anywhere, like we're Americans. Like I feel my only connection is to American culture. That's where I'm from. That's, it's a unique experience. So there are tons of examples of people saying off color things, about, oh, you're pretty for a Black, or, You know, you don't really look like a belly dancer when you're dancing next to a white Russian, girl with blonde hair, and you're like, you know, they look more authentic or of the culture than we do with brown skin. But, it's an endless list. And as much as I dealing with racism and anti blackness is a part, is a section of my not just dance, but my life experience. I I segment it as that because of survival. So seeing everybody going crazy now and really acknowledging a lot of these topics that which like you said, we've been talking about for years, it kind of feels like I've actually taken a step back and like, wow, I guess everyone really did think I was just making this shit up, or everyone did really think I was just being sensitive when I was talking about like XYZ happening, and now seeing, you know, everyone acknowledging what we've literally been feeling and saying the whole time, it feels a little, I feel a little smug about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, okay, like, wow, I guess now we're all uncomfortable. Like, at least now we have a pretty thick skin and it doesn't really get in. Like, everyone's, freaking out. And I know everybody's at different parts in their journey, but working in the biz of dance, you know what I mean? And having, actual emails go out to dance companies asking for Asian, Latina, white, and like literally listing everything except black, or saying specifically not black dancers. Like, you know what I mean? They'd rather like an older, like over 40 white dancer than a youthful black dancer. So even having anti-blackness trump ageism and body shaming and all of the other things, like it's just so normal. Like it's such a normal thing that, people are like, oh my God, this happened and someone said that. It's like, it's literally, I'm not that I'm sick of talking about it, but it's like, come on, guys. Like, do we really need to get more examples? Like before like, what next? Like, what can we do to move on? Because like, this is our life. Like, and it needs to, you know, like, come on. Like, I think the shock factor is irritating to me, because like, how is this still a shock to you when we've literally been here saying it and living it and experiencing it? And if we are hearing these things, it is offensive to me to assume that white and other people of colors have not heard it and seen it, because it's come from their friends and families and themselves. So it's like, really? Like, you're going to act shocked about this, knowing that you've perpetuated it? And, you know, I wish everyone would shut up and self-reflect on their own personal um, position in holding up white supremacy and accepting the comfort and the privilege, which we've all done in order to just be comfortable. And so in the name of politeness and comfort, it's gone on this long, and now now there's no way to not face it. And it's also, like I said, it's also irritating that it's coming to a head with white adjacent persons of color and white people being centered in the conversation. Like, we literally have not been screaming and crying the whole time. I won't scream and cry anymore. I'm just going to put my head down and work and move on, because while everyone else their head is on fire from this, like, this has been experiences that we are able to have been able to like survive, but also thrive with, because we're still doing things, we're still moving along, we're still living life, and like I said, I don't know. That's how I feel about it. Like, I just don't. Like, this is it. This is information at this point, and I'm not going to say it anymore, because it just is. This is what, you know what I mean? Like, the next time I open my mouth about it, like I said, I want to have clarity on the things that I would like to share and ways to be a part of the solution to support Black people, Black women.
I appreciate you being honest about that, because I think I'm for me, and it's just gotten very saddening and frustrating to watch, especially, Black women in the dance community silence themselves either from feeling tired, jaded, or like they're being
Mhm.
ignored.
Yeah.
And it's not our job to educate people. It's not
Mm-mm.
our job to hold the torch so everyone can run behind us as allies. It's not our job to make our fellow people of color who, might not face the level of, or do not face the level of hardship that we encounter in and out of dance. It's not our job to make them comfortable either. So I'm glad that a lot of us have prioritized our own peace and self-care and hustle as the world has kind of gone into what I feel like is a performative
Extremely.
movement. And some of that might be the pandemic that people can't turn away, they can't distract themselves. But regardless, this is not new. And even for Asmara, creating our initiative wasn't because this is new. It's just because, like you were saying, it gets old. It gets really old, like running the hamster wheel of this. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I hope that, other people listening who are, Black American dancers, Black American women, like, like you're not alone in this. And you don't
Yes.
have to make other people feel comfortable about it. It's not our
Yeah,
job.
because it's like exactly not to feel comfortable, not to feel uncomfortable. I'm not trying to call anybody out. If you know me, you know my opinion. And if not, you can literally kick rocks. I don't care. I'm happy to have the freedom to say that. Like, I'm exhausted, from it because it's not my problem. It is everyone else's problem because, like you said, it's become very, very trendy and performative to want to be an ally and feel like an ally. And once again, it's just become this, people up on a soapbox of like, look how much I care and how I'm beating and prostrating myself in pain of this. And it's literally like, dude, this has been our life. Like, this is literally all we've like, what? Like this is a new trendy thing. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't, yeah, no, I'm not here for it. I think there's a better way. I think still there's a lack of self-awareness. Everyone's just reacting and doing things to make themselves feel like a good person. And it's like, that's not the point. I mean, as we've seen recently, a lot of the, white and white adjacent, whatever you want to call it, persons of color, the main ones that have talked about and wanted to, support Black dancers and will share a YouTube clip here and there are the same ones who did not even think out of almost 70 people to say, hey, maybe this isn't the year to come with the bullshit. And once again, Black women had to step up and cause a problem, quote unquote, and be loud and be aggressive. It's like, wow, y'all, are willing to share a YouTube clip, but did not want to step out of your comfort zones again. And then, when we're called out about it, instead of facing it and saying, wow, this was my issue, decided to throw the producer under the bus alone. Like he was alone the issue. And that sat a little wrong with me as well, and just shows that there will be no change until there's actual self-reflection of these people. And this is nothing to do with a personal attack. This is just information that I hope everybody really understands. It shouldn't be comfortable for yourself or for you. I mean, even like I said, going through the journey of my own anti-Blackness and like, am I uncomfortable with my hair? Like, am I wearing my hair in these styles because I hate my own hair, like my African hair? Do I feel prettier because I'm lighter skin because I've always been told my whole life, you're pretty for a Black girl? Like facing those kind of things and then are the only way you get past them. And that has to start, like you said, it's not our responsibility, 100%, it's not. But everybody would stop feeling so fucking stupid and guilty and stop making stupid fucking decisions if they would just reflect on their own things truly, instead of just being so loud and saying nothing and doing nothing and changing nothing. It's like, shut the fuck up already. It's this not, it's like, that's honestly, I don't know how else to put it. And like I said, I'm hoping to find more eloquent ways to put it out there, but it's the biggest eye roll. And like I said, it's not a personal attack, which everybody fucking feels attacked. It's like, dude, just think about it. Just think. It doesn't mean that you are freaking Hitler. It just means you have work to do on yourself. Like, I don't understand this huge, like, oh my God, they are racist, period. No, most white people, if not all, and persons of color have done racist things, and that is not definitive as a person. That doesn't mean you want to lynch me from a fucking tree. That just means you have work to do, because we've all lived in a society that is stemmed and rooted in white supremacy. So that is literally a thread through not just the United States, but globally. And nobody wants to just say, okay, I'm a part of this too. They want to point and say, look at the racists, burn them at the stake. And it's like a fucking witch hunt, when really it's like, how about be quiet and do your own work?
It's a
And they would
systematic
make exactly, which
Yeah.
means it's not just like, look at the way, you know what I mean? Look at that. Like, it's, I feel like it's just this loud, pointless noise when, you know, the violence against, you know, Black men and women is a huge red issue. Like, that is the thing that should immediately be addressed and protest in the street and be, you know what I mean? That for things like that are life and death. But I feel like with these issues that are popping up in the community, which are, while are unacceptable, are smaller on a social level, because it's like, okay, these are fixable. This is not life and death. This is something that if we, like, come on, put it into perspective. Like, people are acting like just unproductive. You know, if how is anyone going to learn a lesson? Like, it's not, unless it's life or death, which is a real issue. Let's find a better way to deal with this stuff, because literally nobody's going to be able to keep up this pace of this soapbox social justice warrior ally. Like, come on, like, this is, like I said, like, for us living it, it's, we realize that it's unrealistic to fight every freaking battle. Like, be serious. I mean, if
Yeah.
and it's just, it's so obviously performative, because it's like, there's no way you give that much of a shit, because you would not be able to live. And if you do, like, there, you're going to get burned out. Like, it doesn't, it's clear that there's a lot of novices who are talking about all of the discrimination they went through, but never really actually had to live with it as a true daily part of their lives, because nobody who's truly oppressed acts like that. Like,
We're trying to just, keep our heads down and make sure that we have the
survive.
best life we can have.
Exactly. Yeah. Survive with some happiness on the side. Like, I don't have the time to fight. Like, I want to be happy. I want to live my life. I want to serve. Like I said, I want to thrive in my life. You know, like, who really wants to fight? Like, you know what I mean? And when they act like, you know, we're always pulling the race card and we're always aggressive and we're angry, like, who really wants to do that shit? Nobody who's really oppressed. We just want to live and be included and be treated as human. That's it, period. If that happens, I'm literally happy. I don't have a word else to say about it. Like, I'm trying to watch Netflix and eat and dance and listen to music. Like, okay, I mean,
Rest.
say it again.
The joy and rest.
Exactly. Like, it's very clear who the ones who have all this energy. It's like, dude, I don't know. This has not been a part of your daily life for 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus years, your whole life, clearly.
No, it's a conversation that needs to come off social media. And I think that that's that's the complex part of the fact that I think the isolation we're going through brought it about in a more dramatic way that hasn't necessarily been productive. But for it to be productive, I do wonder if it's going to take people being forced back outside. And I don't know. I mean, in the
No,
context of
I think
dance,
I
dance,
think it's
but
just people need to self-reflect.
yeah,
We're on social media. We're never going to not be on social media. Like that's a part of this is the new norm of socialization, for this foreseeable future. We got to make this work. Like we can't
you're right.
let them say it, let them get it off their chest, and who's performative will show because it won't last. And the ones who are really trying, time will tell. Like I said, I'm not canceling anybody like in who's really trying. Like, there's plenty who say fuck y'all and don't want to try, and that's fine too. Like I said, I don't take it personally either. I'm not going to try to force anybody to love me who doesn't. They don't love us. We can't force them. But someone who's really trying, I'm open. Like I said, I'm not, and I know everybody's at different places in that journey. But for me, being in the biz for so long in dance and having seen this happen, I'm happy it's all coming out, and I'm open to genuine change, genuine solutions. And everything else, I'm keeping my mouth shut because I don't have the time or energy or give the fucks at this point. There's none left.
No, I get it. And it's not for us as the people experiencing it to resolve it.
Nope, sure
I
isn't.
think that it's great to just exist and thrive and, do what you can to uplift people in your community and let
like
everything
everyone else has been doing. That's what all other communities have been doing. They got community centers and support groups and, like groups for their culture and shouting everything out. And, that's what we got to do for ourselves and lead by example just by living our best lives. Like to me, that's me being a social justice warrior, is living my best life and being a confident, happy Black woman. Period. That's it. Thank you. Like that's
and,
it. That's
and that's beautiful. And that's all that needs to happen. Like really, that's all that needs to happen. Um, I'm so glad that we were able to talk about the things we talked about. And I appreciate you, like, even though I asked about intersectionality, you bring up a good point. Like, even some of the things that I've interviewed people about, which I almost have to, self-reflect on too, like who is it for? And I think that that's a question, like, even as a Black woman, we toe that line. And as a Black belly dancer, is like creating this space to highlight us and give us an unfiltered place to exist, but also to not educate others, but to allow others to sit and maybe take away something from it. It's like finding a balance between being a source of education and making this labor, because this isn't for people to understand our experience. It's to validate our experience for us. So that really makes me think
that intention is a very good distinction. Like you said, this is for us to vent if we need and validate our experience. Like I said, I'm not trying to and that's a very good distinction, because we could talk about it all day. And like I said, if the intention is for us to like you said, for other Black dancers to feel like they're not alone, that's great. There's plenty of resources of everybody who's professionals on like education, because they've cornered that market already. We see who's centered on that topic. Like let them, you know what I mean? I think that's a perfect way you said it, is like that intention of it being a safe space for us to validate our experiences when we've been called crazy for so long, and angry and bitter and aggressive and all the other things that we've been labeled as.
It's a lot. I'm gonna just remain. I don't want to say hopeful, but I'm gonna remain diligent. And I hope that you as well do, and everyone watching, like, just take care of yourself. Like I say it a lot when I do these interviews, and I know that's like my own thing, but like rest is so important, and self-love is so important, like that above everything else. And then figure out dance, figure out whatever intersects your dance or is your entire experience, figure it out, but like understand that you are worthy regardless. And like, don't let anybody take that joy. Like you said, like this, people are doing this because they enjoy it. It doesn't matter what other people do around you. Like, continue to move and hustle and be who you are. That's
it can't matter. We would not have survived in this country if it you know what I mean? And like I said, there's many who did not and have not survived.
Yeah.
And if we are here and healthy, not sick, not targeted, not like, not in danger, immediate physical danger, it is our responsibility to be happy and to thrive. And whoever wants to like experience that with us or learn more, like it comes naturally out. Like I said, the white friends that I have, my white partner, you know what I mean, my white boyfriend, he like you will know how I feel naturally. It will come out. Like, you know what I mean? I don't, not that it's something I don't talk about, but like I said, it's not a section, it's not a seminar style. It's just from my life experiences, from me sharing and how I view the world and how I dance and how I do my hair and what I am like. That's how it comes out. It's not intentional. That is me. And I don't want it to any part of my life to feel like forced or burdened. And you know what I mean? And I definitely don't want to show any of that part or share any of that part with someone who wouldn't value it. You know what I mean? That's where the being quiet part comes from, because there's plenty who hate us, don't value us, don't care, find it annoying, and that's fine. I'm not for those people. Like, they will never see my emotion. You know what I mean? Like they will never, that's something, that I believe a lot in attraction marketing. Like I've been talking to a coach, this year, someone who, I've been working with, and she helps me, talks me off a ledge on a weekly basis and tries to keep me on track. And we talk a lot about that. Like, I want to do attraction marketing. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not good at sales, but somehow I've been able to stay consistently working in dance, being a Black dancer, doing Pilates and fitness in an extremely white area. You know what I mean? Like I've been able to do certain things. And I think it's because who is attracted to me and my authenticity and my happiness and my, my rested energy. Those are just my people. Like you know what I mean? I'm very against personally pushing or fighting in a certain way. I want to lead by example. And to me, that attracts, and that says a lot more than whatever I could say or do. No one's going to listen. They want to see if it works for you. Are you successful? Are you happy? Are you this? Then once people see that vibe, then they're more likely to be receptive. If we're frantic and angry and emotional, even if it's valid, there's a lot less chance that good things are going to come, because we're surrounded by this like sadness. And so I just think it's important to, like I said, to take care of whatever we can in our own spirit and energy, be very aware of how our vibe is coming off, because it doesn't matter what our intention is. If we're in the public eye or around people who are in the service industry, it has to, it's about us, but there's a line where it becomes about like, okay, what am I offering? What am I attracting? What kind of clients am I attracting? Am I attracting clients? Is that my desire? Like being really clear about what we want first and how we want to come across, and then strategically that will start to be clear in the way we talk and the things we post and the way we react to challenges and things that happen. Instead of just reacting with zero like awareness. It's I think, and then being upset when people react back. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we have to take responsibility. It's what vibes we're giving off, because
it comes back to the self-reflection you were talking about. You have to kind of know your intent before you engage.
Clarity. Most of us don't know how we feel about it or what we want, and you know what I mean? And we get into these spaces and we just need to like, okay, take a breath. What do I want out of it? Do I want this as a profession? Is it a hobby for me? Is it the music? Like you said, what is it that is gonna keep you in it? And then hone in on that, because everything else is gonna be there, like it's been there, like, you know what I mean? And I feel happy. Like, I have energy to work and fight this. So this is important to me. Like, if people want to fight and be vocal and be this X way, like, I am all for that. But be clear of the repercussion, you know what I mean, of what we're putting out there and how people will react, and be clear about it so that we are at peace with our decisions and we can handle whatever reactions and are happening around us because we are so clear on our stance. And so I need a lot of time, like you talked about rest. Like, some of us need more rest than others. Like, I don't know about you, but I need a lot because I have to sit with my emotions for a long time and take a lot of responsibility for my words and actions. And I need I need that in order to have a full cup to pour from. Otherwise, I literally have nothing and I'm a psycho. I'm still a little bit of a psycho, even at peace, to be honest.
No, I get that, and I can relate. I can definitely relate, and I appreciate you like dropping all this knowledge on people because I think a lot in dance we get caught up in the same like questions and scenarios, and it's important to realize, like you said, like this is you as a person. We are people. We are not just dancers, and who we are as people comes into our dance experience because it's one part of a very rich life. So I think that it's part of being your best self as a dancer is you got to step out of that box and realize like you're a person. You're a person who's dancing. And you bring all of yourself to the table.
And to, round all that out, I think that is your dance style too. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're very clear on yourself as a person, no matter what, like style or music, like it won't look mechanical. It'll look like you because you're you and you, and it's a thread of life. I think that comes back full circle. You will get the most out of this and be a great dancer when you like are at peace with who you are.
I just love how the universe works because you're right. It all comes together like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes together. And I don't know, like I'm so happy we got to talk because outside of just, doing this so that we can connect people in the community, like I very selfishly enjoy doing these interviews because I think we have to have more conversations with people and like not just focus on the next workshop and what are you doing to practice, but to like actually connect with other people in the community because that's really what matters. And I think that like there's so much that you've shared today that a lot of people haven't thought about, even myself. And I just hope that we keep connecting, and I'm going to keep connecting with you. I hope that people, once they hear this interview, connect with you. I'll definitely share that information, but like if people do want to connect with you, where can they find you, or what's the best way to get in touch?
I'm putting a lot of my energy right now into my Instagram. Like I said, they can sign up through classes. I have my link in my Instagram bio. It's just been the simplest, quickest way. I am slowly getting a website, girl. Listen, but I'm forgiving myself. That's okay. But I do have my Instagram. People can look at all my cute pictures and see my struggle of looking more professional and polished and like being trying to set up my attraction marketing. What do I want you to see about me? But it's really just me, like, fumbling through the process, just like everybody else. Literally, that's honestly everything I think I've said is this. It applies to like my fitness philosophy. It applies to my dance philosophy. It applies to like my life because it is my hobby and my job and like my whole life. And it all connects for me. Nothing is like sectioned off. Like this is it. Like it's everything. Like you'll hear me say the same threads of my beliefs, my belief system. So if anyone wants to work out with me, I think that's important as well as a whole nother topic is important for us to train outside of dance because it's, we don't want to be injured.
I completely agree. Well, Ciana, thank you again for joining us and giving us so much great information and sharing your perspective and your personal stories. Again, everyone, this is Communi-Tea Thursdays. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.